Sega Lindbergh Universal Cabinet Restoration Part 8 Billboard Cabinet Access Panel. So this video is just going to fill in a few gaps, some stuff I've recorded and I didn't use. Might be of interest to you. This is just the original Sega instruction space. Holding it up to the light there, you can see it's blocked out in the middle and light's coming through the left. And then the reproduction one there where there's just light generally coming through everywhere except the black parts. So at the bottom there you can see two bits of glass, or one piece of glass and one piece is perspex. So it's just a case of putting some double-sided tape at each end of the strip and then sticking it down onto the perspex. You've got to line it up pretty well because once you put that glass on, there's a little bit of block-out black paint on the glass. And if you don't line it up right, then you'll get leakage of light. So you stick them down, then just put these little chrome tabs on there, and that just allows you to affix it from the back with those screws. And the whole idea with me using these generic instruction spaces is if I had a move strip for a particular game, you know, you'd really have to be fixed on that game to have that in there the whole time. Up next you'll see a Jason's Customs reproduction 2-player panel. Just thought I'd throw that in there for a look. And then the 1-player panel here. And then another original 1-player panel. They look great. Just the headphone, the USBs and the isolation and other switch there. We haven't had a look inside the panel yet, so I just thought I'd show you what it looks like at the back. Bit of soldering to come there on those headphones, or one of them will become a volume switch. Joystick, I had to turn that 90 degrees, that was incorrect. Couple of blank buttons there. You'll see that all wired up shortly. Those USBs go pretty deep, but luckily it's quite a deep panel, so we're okay there. Alright, we'll leave it there with that one. Next up is the reproduction billboard, as they call it. So this was like a sort of a 6 separate pieces that the arcade that used to have the machine there had made. Zax. It's just on photographic paper. You can see there all the moves are in Japanese. So I've pulled that off. Give it a bit of a clean. And then here's my Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown reproduction marquee or billboard artwork. Someone on the internet put I think it's 4 scans that were really good, so I had those done by Noodle Shirt into one on some really nice thick paper. In hindsight I probably could have had it done a bit smaller and the border to be black, but you'll see it works out okay. So just marking these holes here because the panel that they sit on has these kind of proud edges or proud slots, grommet type things that it slips over. So I just had this little sort of leather punch thing. Unfortunately I had to punch through the Sega hole, punch a hole through the Sega there. And then I only had the one tool, so the holes could have been a little bit smaller, but it'll do. perspex back over the top. Then just screw it all in. I didn't like using screws straight up. They were a bit sort of harsh. So I just had these spring washers that held things down. What I found was that the screws hit these little kind of grommets first, so the plastic was actually loose. So I went back later and put some spring washers on it, but you'll see that's how it looks for now. There you go with the washers. So not quite legit sort of black border happening there, but good enough. That's what an original noir Billboard looks like, with the black border on the actual plastic. Those kind of specialised attachments, screws and washers. And then that's the original Lindbergh there, you can see, with the black border, then the clear part even protruding more. But if you didn't know what to look for, you probably wouldn't notice it, so there we have it. Alright, so I just took the opportunity to power the machine up. One of the first times since I've owned it. That cold cathode tube works, which is great, so the instruction space looks good. The fluorescent tube looks good, and it shines up on the Billboard nicely. I don't know if I mentioned before how the Billboard was too high, whoever sort of screwed it on. So I just dropped it down about 10 centimetres to the bottom hole, which was fine, but they're not the original holes. But until I can get myself an original Billboard, that's going to keep me going. That bottom edge is meant to be in line with the top of the monitor, but I'd have to drill more holes to do that, and I don't really need to at this stage. So, looking good. So where we'll go next is just some pictures. It's going to be a bit pick heavy, but just showing me cleaning a few more bits inside the cabinet. All these things take time, but there was, years of dust in there. Under the access panel. Thankfully it was just dust, it wasn't spills and corrosion or anything like that, so just took the power supply out. Easy to take the lid off, pull all the bits out, and I just use a nice soft paintbrush and I just flick all the dust off. It comes off pretty easily. Bit of a vacuum if you can with a soft brush, but you just got to be careful. And then just wiping as much as I can. Everything's cleaned. There we go, back in the box. Inside clean, mostly a bit of dust still. You undo the panels on the back, communications panel and the power panel, and you can get in there and reach all the hard to get places. Gave me an opportunity to put some new keys in, or new locks. And every single scratch in photography particularly shows up, but you can see the machine's looking cleaner now. It does have dings, but it is clean. This access panel was a little bit of work, so I took that off, pulled it apart, cleaned it, then put on my little reproduction one I had made, or patch, to patch the hole. Stuck it on. Looks really good. Sits a little bit proud, but yeah, could have got silver, but I'm happy with the black. There's the finished product there. A couple more locks. Got them from Highway Entertainment in Australia. And there it is attached. I think this is the I/O board. Unscrewed all that, pulled it all out, gave it a dust and a wipe. And cleaned out in there, that wasn't too bad. There it is back in. Looking good, and I'm not going to need that for what I'm using the system for, but I really wanted it cleaned up. Here's the power supply for the monitor. Same thing. Pull it out, take the top off, pull all the guts out and give it a clean. And back together. Some of those marks just can't come off, they're just corrosion basically. Then back in the machine. And just finish up with a bit of a test for the under button lighting. That's looking really good. We'll end it there, and thanks for watching. Next video's coming soon, which will be cleaning out the monitor. Thanks for watching.
5年後のバビロン